I'm Paul Prins. I'm the founder and CEO of a company called Freshfine, and we do membership software for nonprofit communities, so helping them understand who's involved and engaged and just what's happening. So, why Freshfine? It's just something that is really overlooked. So when you look at the amazing number of software companies and products and tools that exist, very few of them have been built purposely for the nonprofit sector, even though the nonprofits make up a huge percentage of jobs, of entities on a statewide and global level. In the US, there's, depending on how you cut it, because not everybody has to register, there's a couple million nonprofit organizations that do everything from really small things, it's an after-school tutoring program, to really large things, to citywide food programs, to medical research, to whatever. But for us, we looked at that and we were like, wow, there's fantastic tools for the commercial space. So if you run a coffee shop, you run a store that sells physical goods, there's great things that you can use to take care of that and help you. The problem is that those tools didn't exist for nonprofits because the money wasn't there, right? Like I could charge a coffee shop thousands of dollars a month for something that a nonprofit just can't afford. So they end up with a lot of home-built, kind of scrappy tools that get the job done, but can leave a lot to be desired. And so we saw that need, and we realized that with design backgrounds, programming backgrounds, backgrounds in nonprofit management, and I'm also a pastor, so I have that religious component. For all religious organizations are also nonprofits. It just made sense that we were kind of the right people for it. Yeah, so it is a little weird that I have this pastoral background, and most people who are of the cloth, I guess, don't have a super technical background. That's not the stereotype that people have. But for me, I actually started my first software company when I was 14, 15 years old. I was one of those bored kids, and I was fortunate enough that my parents had a computer. And I started putzing around and realized that you could make websites. Back when I was in 7th, 8th grade, I was like, this is crazy. Like, I can change this line of text, and then when I reload my browser, it says something different, or it's a different picture, or that link goes over there now instead of over here. It was really cool. And so I started my first website about something I was passionate about. At the time, it was freestyle skiing. And so did that for about 6-7 years. I think I officially launched it in 1998. And then I closed it and sold it in 2006, I believe. So instead of just one, I'd say there's two biggest challenges we face. The first one is just the bootstrapping nature of it. So because we're focused on the nonprofit side, I decided early on that I didn't want to pursue outside investment. That puts you on a track to either be acquired or have an IPO. Right, those investors want to get money back out, and that's the only way they can do that. And focusing explicitly on the nonprofit space, I was just skeptical that there was going to be enough interest on either the acquisition side, so what company is going to buy us, or that we would get to a size that would make sense to have an IPO and be a publicly traded company. And I have other issues with what being publicly traded does to business goals, and everything's 3-month windows because you need to hit your quarterly goals, which in a technology space can be really difficult. You can see that with Apple, right? They announced products in one quarter so they could start pre-orders so they could boost their revenue before it actually is ready to ship in the next quarter. That's not a mistake. They did that because they needed to please their investors, even though internally they maybe wouldn't have wanted to do that. Yeah, so that's been a challenge, is going years, where at the end of the month you're hoping there's enough money in the bank account for the business that you can pay yourself and then pay your bills. Stressful, to say the least. And I'm just starting to get out of that. The other part that's been really challenging is understanding who to take advice from. Everybody wants to tell you something, but almost nobody knows what the hell they're doing. They just don't. They have no clue. And so they repeat stuff they heard in a book, or they repeat something they heard on Shark Tank or from some like Silicon Valley person. And the challenge is that it's so different and it's so contextual to what you're doing. So the way that you sell a t-shirt on the internet is different than the way you sell membership software on the internet. And membership software is different than the way you sell scheduling software, which is different than the way you sell photo editing software. They're all different and they all have their own challenges. And then that's been a challenge, is to kind of quiet those external voices and listen more to my gut and to my intuition that grew my first company into something meaningful, but it's growing this into something meaningful. So we're a Midwest skier. We were filming and editing and producing videos, and then we were also like doing sponsorship proposals and event production stuff and hosting events and follow up. And then we were doing these marketing campaigns and making sure that we were keeping those people happy. And like it was all of this work in addition to the website, and we had some ad-based revenue as well. And so like we're also producing, building, and updating, maintaining this website so that we could do these other things. And it was just a lot of work in a lot of different things for a little bit of money here and there. So with Fresh Find, we decided that we're going to do one thing. We're going to make membership software. We're going to sell it on the internet. It's going to be a subscription. So now you can see like where Fresh Find was kind of like this month to month, and hopefully year on year is kind of going up. Fresh Find, the idea was like we're going to make it affordable. We're going to make it so that we can onboard people easily and quickly, and everybody's going to use the same thing. So that when we sit down and we work on something, or we fix a bug, or somebody has a problem with something, we address it, we've actually addressed that for everybody. So we have over 1,000 people using Fresh Find. And so when someone's like, hey, I clicked this thing and I got this error message, and we go in and we take care of that, now every single one of those people has that issue taken care of. Versus before with Fresh Find, where it's like, you know, somebody in one of those things was frustrated, we addressed that and like we took care of their concern or their pain, but like we still have all these other things and all these other people that are blissfully ignorant that there was ever an issue with something they weren't involved with. I was fortunate that like my parents were behind me and had money that they could help with, and that was huge up front. It gave me lots of flexibility in terms of being able to just focus on building the product that we would sell as a service to folks, without having to get another job, and still being able to pay my bills. Not everybody has that opportunity. And so that just changes timelines. It changes all of that stuff. You can easily do a lot of this stuff on nights and weekends. You can get a job, you can live frugally, you can save up till you to the point where you have the runway to be able to do it. If I didn't have that runway, I mean, I'm many years into Fresh Find, and if I would have ran out of money 6 months in, Fresh Find would have been done, really before it got a chance to take off. And so I think just stepping back, making sure that you understand what it's going to take, that when all your friends are going on vacations, you can't, that when your friends are, you know, buying houses and doing these things, that like you're sacrificing that. You're saying, no, I'm believing that my payoff is going to be further down the road, and you're willing to put up with that. Most people aren't. How driven are you? And if you're driven, you'll figure out ways to make it work. If it's doing contract stuff, if it's finding odd jobs here and there to make the bills get paid so your power stays on and you don't get evicted, you know, go for it. But just realize that it's going to be challenging, it's going to be hard, and you're going to have a lot of obstacles. But as long as you're driven, you'll figure out how to overcome it. And you know, for me, there's few things that I've done in my life that have been as rewarding as overcoming some of those hurdles. And my last bit of advice for you is to celebrate it. You know, like it's so easy to, you know, hit milestones and just kind of mentally be like, sweet, 1,000 people, we have 1,000 people using our software. Okay, next thing. You know, like buy some champagne, pop it, you know. do something to go out for drinks. You're still poor, so like keep it in check. But you know, like you've got to celebrate those wins. Otherwise, like it just feels like you're just laying down, elbowing it through the mud, and hoping that like you hit something a little more firm. So poking your head up every now and then and realizing things aren't so bad is a good thing too.
All right. Thanks.